If you're making something akin to maybe an RPG, you're going to run into wanting to set up something like a type weakness system. And initially you might look into Unreal's build and damage system and see that you have damage types in there and think, oh, this is going to be super easy to implement. But then you maybe run into the fact that the damage types kind of only give you a rough framework for that. And that's why you're in this video. So welcome, I'm going to show you how to do this. It's actually quite simple, so let's get straight into it. Let's first and foremost, before anything else, make a handful of damage types. You can do that by blueprint class here, all classes, and we can just type damage, which gives us a damage type. And let's just go like full Pokemon and make fire, and I copy it over, water, and grass, and then there's like 15 other types, but we're not going to do that in depth because that's just a lot of duplication of effort. So fire, water, and grass. So we now have 3 different damage types, and you might think you need to start like programming stuff in here, but the damage types themselves don't really have any functionality for the most part. They themselves are mostly intended to be used with things like world damage and that kind of stuff. But we can kind of bend them into what we needed to do, which is a resistance or a weakness type chart. So let's just close these things down because we don't really care about them for the time being. And I do feel the need to point out that while using damage types like this is totally viable, what I do in my own game, for instance, which I have open here, I just have an enum that has all of the possible damage types as its possible values. Personally, I think that this works a little bit better. The downside is that you can't send through these enums through the built-in damage applying system. So you're going to need to set up your own little interface to deal with these, which can be a bit of a bother. So maybe you want to stick with using damage types just to keep things easier in that regard. Either way, what we're going to do is I'm going to also make a new blueprint struct. So we come up into blueprint, into structure, and we will call this something like damage responses or something like that. And that is going to really only have one thing inside of it, and that is going to be a map. So let's call this like resistance values or something like that. This is going to be a map of type damage, type class references, not object references. We want class references, the purple ones. And we're going to make that into a map, as I said. And corresponding to each class reference, we're going to just add in a float. And you can kind of see where we're going with this, right? We'll be able to give in a damage class and tell it the multiplier for what that damage class should be interpreted as. So now that we have this struct, we can make a data table based off of that struct. So if we go into, I think it is miscellaneous, we can make a data table, and you will see that our struct is somewhere in here as damage responses. So let's call this the resistance table or something along those lines. And here, when we start adding in rows, we can start giving them names. Now, getting these rows can be a bit tricky, and I'll show you how I set it up in a moment. But every single one of these rows, we're just going to add in every single damage type. So we're going to add one for fire, and one for water, and one for grass. And then maybe in the damage responses, what you actually want to do is you want to go into the default values, and you just want to add one of each of these so that you don't have to do this with every single type that you add for every single data table row, that is, and give them default values of just 1, 1, 1. So now you can see they all have that as their default values. And now for this first row, we can say, actually, this is weak to fire. And maybe this one is weak to grass, but it's super weak, so it does 3 times the damage. And then this row actually only takes half damage from each and every one of them. And you can pretty easily make this work on a large scale. Now, the way that I like to do this is being able to give this in on a per character or a per actor basis. So these row names are going to be representative of a specific type of characters in the game. So let's just make real quick a blueprint class. We'll make it a character just for shits and giggles, honestly. We'll call that something like enemy to be our base enemy class that all other enemies are going to be based off of. And the easiest way to deal with this is just giving this a variable for the name of this enemy, which is going to be of type name. And now, as we start making child blueprints up of this, so we can call this like enemy 1, and make enemy 2 and 3 and 4, we can start giving all of these names, because in their class defaults, you will now see under default, we can give it a category in the parent class over here. Like in the category, you can say something like enemy data, and now it's in the enemy data category. So back in our child class, we now can see we have an enemy data category with the name. So let's call this, maybe this will be a skeleton, right? And then enemy number 2 will be a, where is it? Enemy data, name, will be a zombie. And then enemy number 3, I think you kind of get that point. This will be a ghost. And then the resistance table, we just used those names as the row names. So we can do a skeleton. Matter of fact, it might actually just be better to copy these over to make sure that there is no typos at all, because these do need to match exactly. And let's just remove this one for now. And now this data table houses the resistances or the weaknesses of each one of these types of enemies. So how do we get that out of there? That is the most important part, right? So let's go back into our enemy class and do an event graph and get our event any damage, because that is the thing that we're working with at the end of the day. We get our damage out, but we want to multiply our damage by a certain amount. That is what these things are. These are damage multipliers. So what we do is we get our damage type and we get the class off of it. We don't really care about anything else. We don't care about any of the values that are set on it, because again, those are mostly to do with like environmental damage and that kind of stuff. We just care about what type of damage class we're getting sent through. This is the reason that it might be easier to just use the built-in damage class system, even though it's not really intended to be used for specifically this, because it is inherently sent through with any damage, which already like works over networking and with like server architecture and that kind of stuff. So once we do that, we look for the function called getDataTableRow, which is this one. So not row names. We want to get a data table row, a singular one. And the row name that we're going to be looking for will just be the name that we gave our enemy. And the data table we're looking through, of course, will be our resistance table. Now here what I like to do is wrap this all within its own like little function. So let's just do that right away. So select everything and we're going to collapse to function. And I'll call this deal damage for actually dealing damage. And the reason that I do that is because now I can make a local variable that just gets created whenever this function is called. We can do some stuff with it and then it gets deleted, and next time the function is called, it gets just created anew without having any of the old data from the previous time still hanging around in it. Because what I want to do is I'm making a local variable here for the damage multiplier, which is probably misspelled, but at this point I don't care. And what we're going to do is if the damage row is not found because we gave in the wrong name or whatever, we're just going to set this to 1, and then we're going to print a string to the screen, damage table name not found. You should never see this. So let's make it pop up in red so that we know that something is very, very wrong when we do see this. But if the row is found, what we'll do is we'll split the structure bin and we get our map out of this. And we can now use this class to get our value out of it. So we can just use this map and use the find function on it to find the class that we were talking about, and we get back the corresponding float, which we can then use to set the damage multiplier with. And then the actual damage at the very end of all this, we multiply with the damage multiplier, and that is what we take out of the health or something like that, right? If we like have a health value, we like set the health to health minus the multiplied damage, and maybe we can like max this between that value and 0 so that it clamps it down to 0 if you really want to. And now we have a basic setup for having a resistance table. Now this is more traditional, like RPG-like, make sure everything is hooked up as well, than it is something like a Pokemon-based system, right? In Pokemon, every move has a type, and then every particular actor has either 1 or 2 types. And the damage is calculated purely based off of the types, not of the individual monsters. If you're going to be making something like a Pokemon game, you don't want to make a data table with like 1,000 entries, one for each Pokemon in existence. But if you only have a game with like, say, 100 enemies that all need to have fairly specific responses to fairly specific typings. For instance, the zombie here might be specifically weak to fire, with the skeleton specifically being weak to water for reasons. Maybe you have like a light element and the ghost is weak to light. So you can build a little bit more like world building into setting these very specific values for these very specific characters. It's not a particularly procedural system like that. Which brings me to... I'm going to make a separate video on how to set up a more Pokemon-like damage system in the near future as well. Because that is a very interesting and different type of system. But for this, it is the basic implementation of how you would set up a resistance table that we can now easily scale up into an entire game. Which, again, that is the way that I myself am doing it. I have like this Demon and Shaman and Ghost. And you can see at the moment, like all of them have just resistances of 1 because I haven't actually filled out the types of resistances yet because I've been kind of too lazy to do it. And once again, I personally use an enum for the types, but that's because I just have my own damage interface anyway, because I need to send through some other data as well. Hopefully this has been somewhat helpful. If you want to get the project file to just mess around with or support the channel for more videos like this, there's a link down below in the description to the Patreon page and for YouTube members to download this project file. Even though it is fairly simple, maybe it'll help. And a very big thank you to all of my Patreons. You can see them on screen right now. If you want to help out supporting the channel, there's a link down below in the description to the Patreon page. A huge thank you to my Cave Digger tier supporters, Sir J. Thomas,